take 3 hours from the city.
Everybody ready?
Just if we can, you have to. That's my problem.
All right, folks. Thank y'all for coming to the November Board of Supervisors meeting. We do have a quorum. I will open the meeting. In observance of Veterans Day, we got VFW Post 8759, which will present the colors and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. So we'll all rise and gentlemen.
Gentlemen, please present the colors. Present. Oh. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
order. Oh. Gentlemen, post the colors. All out.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your service. And while we're standing, Mr. Wise, you want to lead us in the invocation?
Sure, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for another good month. Thank you for a beautiful day. Thank you for each individual that's here, and as we do this time of year, but we should definitely do all year round. Thank you for our veterans, for everybody that has served and will serve and is currently serving. We wouldn't be here doing what we do without them. We owe everything to them. Thank you very much, and just continue to support our military and support all the veterans, and just help them to help us stay free. Lord, thank you for everybody that's here. Thank you for all of the citizens in Amelia, and we ask as we go through the county business this evening that you will guide us and help us to make the best decisions to keep Amelia on the right path and moving forward. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you, Mr. White. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Brings us to the agenda part. Are there any amendments to the board, the presented agenda? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. White. Motion to the floor to approve the presented agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, that brings us to our October regular meeting minutes. We've had a week to look over them. Any concerns, questions? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve as a presented.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Motion on the floor to approve the October minutes as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Brings us to the financial reports. Any questions or concerns on those? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as a block.
Motion to approve the financial reports as a block.
Thank you, Mr. White. Motion on the floor to approve the financial reports presented. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, that brings us to the public comments. Anybody wishing to speak on anything that's not on the agenda tonight, please feel free to speak. Try to keep it to 3 minutes and state your name and address
Good evening. I'm Katarina Spears. I'm the library director at Hamner Public Library, serving Amelia. I wanted to be here last month to talk about our quarterly report, but I had a sick family member staying with me, so I apologize for that. But I pulled just a few numbers from our quarterly report to share with everyone. The number of materials checked out during the first quarter of the year increased from 4,919 in fiscal year 23 to 5,969 this year. The number of public educational programs during the same period increased from half a dozen in fiscal year 2023 to 77 for fiscal year 24. And the number of volunteer hours increased from 26 to 166. About 2 weeks ago, we launched a new library website. The redesign and hosting for the website are paid for under a state grant. So it didn't cost us anything and will ultimately save us a few $100s a year from now on. The new site is much easier to navigate and will allow us to improve efficiency for program registration and other functions. We also put a few IT infrastructure projects out for bid. These projects are funded at 90% under a federal grant program, so we'll be liable for only 10% of the cost. These projects will increase security for our IT equipment and for our users, and will improve the Wi-Fi signal for users inside and outside the library. The total in projects is about $8,000. So if we get somebody who bids on all of them, the cost to us would be about $800. I want to take just one more moment of your time to publicly extend the library's thanks to Daniel Trump at Amelia County Public Schools for inviting us to partner for the after-school meals program. The library offers free after-school meals to students 18 and under from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday each week when school is in session. Students age 11 and under should come with an older sibling or adult guardian, but the meals are available to any child, and we encourage you to mention this resource to your constituents who face food insecurity. Along with that, I also want to thank Joy Worsham at the Amelia County Food Pantry for coordinating with us to ensure that leftover foods and milk from the after-school meal program did not go to waste. I'm also very appreciative that the food pantry includes information about upcoming library events and regular library services in the boxes of food distributed to families in need. And finally, but certainly not least, I want to thank Grace Wyant, assistant principal at Amelia County Elementary School, and the students and teachers at the school for supporting our Thank a Veteran program. We were able to mail over 150 thank you letters from our students and members of the community to veterans who live in Amelia County. The students created artwork that is on display in the library through the rest of the month, so please stop by to see that. And thanks also to the Amelia County American Legion and VFW Post and the nursing home who helped distribute the letters to veterans living in Amelia. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all you do.
Michael Whitaker, 12110 Genito Road, Chairman of the Amelia County American Revolution 250 Commemorative Committee. Just like to report on the 5th of November at Grub Hill Church for the unveiling of a plaque for Major Joseph Eggleston, officer of the Continental Army from Amelia in the American Revolution. It was an exemplary activity on a gorgeous day at at Grub Hill St. John's Episcopal Church. Approximately 102 people were in attendance. I would like to thank the vestry and clergy of Christ Church Amelia for their cooperation in presenting the afternoon's event. Also, the Amelia County Historical Society, particularly Ann Clark and Cindy Ashman, for helping with refreshments that day. And on our committee, Bailey Hughes and her husband Nick for their assistance in parking cars that day.
And first and foremost, the success of the event was due to Philip E. Barnard Jr., the Richmond chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution. He had in attendance representatives from at least 6 other chapters of the Sons of the American Revolution, plus I think one other Revolutionary War service organization in attendance. And we'd like to also thank our county administrator for the words he gave on behalf of descendants of Major Eggleston. So it was probably our signature event for 2023. We look forward to 2024 and probably at least have 2 major public events for Amelia County. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Anybody else? We have a public hearing later on the agenda, but this is general comment. What are your comments to? What's on the agenda? Okay, we will get to that later on, ma'am. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, folks. All right, moving on through the agenda, that brings us to the VDOT. How you doing, Ms. Worley?
Good evening. To provide a report on our monthly activities, our area headquarters is wrapping up their final round of mowing throughout Amelia County on primary routes. And they're also doing slope mowing, trimming, kind of cleaning back all the right of way at the end of the growing season before the real cold weather hits. They're also repairing shoulders along various routes. Route 360 will be a point of emphasis coming up for shoulder repairs as well as ditching, just doing some preventative maintenance to make sure we've got water flowing off the road and not damaging the pavement on 360. And this time of year, a lot of our area headquarters time is being spent on snow equipment inspections. We've been signing up contractors for the snow season. We still will sign people up. So if anyone has trucks or tractors, loaders, motor graders, we'll take them. So you can reach out to me, or there's information on VDOT's website to sign up equipment as well. But we're in preparations for the winter season. From a construction standpoint, all surface treatment operations have ceased in the county. They've all been completed for the year. And I did want to make one note that was not in my report, which is it appears that we will have adequate funding in the secondary 6-year plan next year to complete the next rural rustic on your secondary 6-year plan, which was Route 620 Stony Point Road next season. We had some funding left over from Volksbridge this year that once we close that project out, we can push it over to Stony Point and we'll have adequate funding to complete that project next summer. So we'll be working on preparations for that project in the off season. And those are my updates this month, unless anyone has any questions.
I have one comment on the bridge at Stony Point. When you come into Amelia, it's 2 big potholes right there.
Okay. Yes, sir.
They own the apron part of it on the decline.
Okay.
I think it might need a little attention. Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Worley.
Thank you.
Brings us to the school board.
Good evening. I am Dr. Cindy Reesner, and I will be providing this evening's report since Dr. Harper and the school board are in Williamsburg for the Virginia Association of School Boards annual convention. During the convention, they will be receiving recognition for obtaining master board status and will be attending a session presented by the governor. The end of September K-12 enrollment was 1531. Pre-K-12 enrollment was 1608. And ADM was 1530. At our November school board meeting, several calendar options were presented for the 2024-2025 school year. A survey will be available soon to obtain input for the options presented. Every other year, Amelia County Public Schools Human Resources conducts an annual salary study to compare Amelia County Public School salaries with the salaries of the 6 counties that surround us. This year's salary study was presented to the board on Monday evening. A copy of the study is available in board docs. The budget process for fiscal year 25 has begun. Dr. Harper and Mr. Trump will be receiving requests of needs from directors, principals, and staff during the month of December. Finally, in your packet, you have the October financial reports. Mr. Trump is here to share the reports and the updated FY24 budget with you.
Good evening. Tonight I'm sharing with you the October FY24 finance reports. At this point in the year, we would anticipate our operational revenues and expenditures being about 27.61%. We are below that mark with revenues and expenditures at 25.27%, and this is in line with recent trends. In the textbook fund, expenditures and revenues are at 8.61%. As has been the case this year, expenditures from the textbook fund are very slow in the absence of major textbook adoption. In the cafeteria fund, the report template has been adjusted to more accurately present the full financial picture of the cafeteria fund as we work to spend down the excess balance that we had, that initial carryover appropriation done for cafeteria funds earlier this year. Revenue from September claims outpaced September expenditures by $1,152.24, and October revenues continued the positive trend, outpacing expenditures by over $8,000. This is about the time of the year where we usually start seeing that the initial deficit we have from the start up, from the start of the year start to reverse course, and we're happy to see that continue a little faster than last year. That brings me to the end of the finance reports. Do you have any questions about the general financial reports? If not, I can move on to the budget.
I'm fine.
Okay. The revised FY24 ACPS budget is also being presented for your approval this evening. The FY24 budget was revised following the passage of the revised state budget and the release of the VDOE calculations template, which did not come until mid-October. Revenues have been updated to align with new information in several areas. State revenues from the calculations template have been updated to reflect the new state budget, which did have some natural changes in it, as well as the revision of the school division ADM. We budgeted at 1565 at the end of last year, after ending last year closer to 1580. As you heard from Dr. Reesner's report, Dr. Harper's report is here, our ADM is significantly lower than where we thought it could have been. So we actually did go ahead and adjust that at this point in time, since we were already revising the budget. 2 new funds were added to our revenue and are seen in our expenditures as well. Fund 4 has been established for the all-in Virginia funding to be received through the remainder of FY24. Fund 5 has been established for the construction grant funds that were received through last year. Both of these have been placed in new funds because the language in the budget bill has them carrying from the year that they're actually received all the way through the end of FY26. So this helps us track them separately from our regular operational funds. Federal revenues from federal grant-funded programs have been updated where final allocations are different from those that were projected in the spring. The security grant revenue has been increased to reflect an additional award that was made to ACPS to support projects at Amelia County Elementary School. This award was announced earlier in the fall. We didn't bring it as a separate appropriation at that time because we were in the process of revising the budget and knew we could fold it in at this point. I'll go ahead and state that we've had security grant projects approved each year. Generally, they've approved the middle and high school projects and not approved the elementary school. So this additional, when the grant cycle is coming to an end, they'll quite often look at which schools haven't utilized their project or allocated funding and redistribute that. So we're glad that we received an award to help with elementary school security projects, which is a bit more of a rarity. You will see that county transfer revenue has been updated to reflect a small shift, $1,934 from the local textbook contribution to the local operating budget contribution. This is a result of a decreased local match requirement for the textbook fund that came with the change to our ADM and the calculations template. To be clear, the total county contribution to the public schools, which is the local contribution to the textbook fund and local contribution to the operating fund, has not changed from what was approved previously. It's just a shift in how it's allocated in those two areas. Expenditures have been updated to align with new information in many areas as well. As was the case with revenue, funds 4 and 5 were added to expenditures. Expenditures for state construction that were previously under maintenance in Fund 1 have been moved to Fund 5. So if you're looking at that summary table and you see that major shift from the maintenance category in previous years to the new budget, that's why we've just kind of redistributed where those funds are held within the budget. And additionally, adjustments have been made to staffing lines, transportation expenditures, and of course, security grant expenditures to match that new allocation. Do you have any questions about the new budget document?
I have a question for Ms. Reesner. You stated that the 6 counties surrounding Amelia, that y'all was trying to get the pay scale in line with them. Am I correct?
The 6 counties that border us, yes.
Okay, so that would be Powhatan, Chesterfield, Dinwiddie, Nottaway, Prince Edward, Cumberland.
Correct.
Only 1 county out of them we could really be considered close to being like that. You're looking at counties that have a larger population, that has a broader probably tax base than we do. So if you're trying to, and hey, I'll be the first to tell you, I wish our teachers and bus drivers made big money, because they deserve it to put up with the kids that is unfortunately in this world now. But is it fair for, what I'm trying to say is it fair for the taxpayers of Amelia County to be grouped with other counties that have much larger tax base because they have much larger populations than us? I think if you look at it, we should be number 5 out of the 6. I wish we was number 2 out of the 6, but realistically, I got to look at what's out here. You follow where I'm trying to come from?
I understand what you're saying.
You're judging us against really counties that we're not in the same league. We're Division 2, they Division 1.
So our goal is to be middle of the road, to be at step 4, ranked 4 out of 7. Okay. And in many instances, we are there.
Well,
Many
I'm
instances.
glad to hear that.
And so not at all, but in many instances we are. And so the report that I gave Monday night is available in board docs. And you're welcome to take a look at it. And if you have any questions, Dr. Harper, after the Thanksgiving break, will be sure to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, I think it's pretty good that we're 4.
That is our goal. And we are there in many instances, but not in all, but in many.
That shows that
We have made, we
y'all
have,
doing a good job to get us there, and appreciate that.
thank you.
I mean, realistically, we'll never be number 1 or 2. Not because of geographic. I mean, it's because of geographics.
We've worked, we've worked very hard and we appreciate your continued support to raise our salaries for all of our employees. Thank you.
It's good.
And Dr. Harper has talked to this board numerous times about that and stated very clearly that her goal isn't to be 1 or 2. She shares the same. I mean, she's told us the same thing, including
That's right.
to Mr. Jones, what he just said, exactly like that. It's the same way we evaluate the sheriff's office and other public safety and our own employees with administration as well. We compare, but that doesn't mean our goal is to beat all of those counties.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. It's good.
Thank you.
I'm just waiting to see if y'all had anything else.
No, the only thing we have is just the the updated budget was the remainder. There are some additional appropriations within the budget, but those appropriations are just new state, those are changes to state and federal funding.
Okay. Is nothing that we need to take action on tonight? Is there?
I guess it'd just be approving the updated budget and the changes to the appropriations included within it, but
Okay. All right, gentlemen, what's the board's pleasure? On adopting or approving the new operating budget presented.
Answer the question about that. So we don't approve the school's budget at this level
well, I think
normally.
well, in terms of the county budget, it does affect, we did not bring these pieces as separate appropriations for every change that is there for the state budget. It does, there are changes to the overall budget and expenditures for the division because of the changes to the revenue projections and such from, changes to the state budget, which increased the compensation supplement funding for the school division. The all-in funding is an additional $723,243 in state funding. So there are some significant changes to our expenditures. It's not a level budget from what was passed in May. That makes sense.
I just want to be careful that we don't get into the habit of approving the school's budget since that's outside our purview. So.
And I'm sorry, this is, if I got a process piece wrong in terms of how to present the changes.
It's the state's problem that
they decided to pass a budget 3 times and the 3rd time in October or something.
We're not allowed to miss our deadline, but they can, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe would an appropriate motion be that we, Josh knows I'm looking at him on this, that we approve the changes in the appropriations within that budget,
Yeah, we would want to recognize the difference in revenue, the difference in expenditures. Because that's going to be a direct reflection on our GL as well. So we would recognize that. So the difference between the original adopted budget and this revised one would be the appropriation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, do we have that figure?
Well, it's
I know it's all in here, but do we have?
I do not, I didn't do the math on that specific figure, but I can do it quickly if you'd like.
I just like to, when we appropriate it, we say a figure to the
Yes,
public.
sir.
And
But you want all the lineup, but you're wanting all the line items changed too, so.
Yes, there are a lot of individual line item changes. I can give you the top line figure for local and federal funds, or you can see if on the.
Given an amount, it's not gonna work for, yeah. There's no change to the local funding, so.
Mhm.
I don't-
what's the board's pleasure?
How do we handle this?
Oh, sorry.
Josh just told us what he works for him. Does that work for you?
I'm just trying to honestly figure out exactly what's going on. with
Yeah.
it. If we're getting, is the county getting revenue?
The county-
That it would then give to the school board or put it to the school board?
Yes.
What's happening?
Yes,
Okay.
the amount of funds received from the state and from federal sources have changes to their appropriations.
Right, okay, so, the board can appropriate whatever funds it needs to. Generally, there's a rule though, that if there's an expenditure that exceeds 1%, there would be a public hearing requirement of the total budget, of the council budget. I don't know what that would be. If it's not that, then we don't need to worry about the public hearing and the appropriations. We could just do an appropriation.
1% would be roughly $500,000.
Okay. Well, if that's not it.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
that-
over that.
Yeah, the change, and this is where the change to the budget itself, and this may be the middle ground that could help, is that the change to the budget, the total change is $802,028. $723,243 of that is new funding from the state budget for the all-in Virginia plan that was announced. Those are funds dedicated for tutoring, Virginia Literacy Act implementation, and attendance support. And those are funds to be carried from FY24 through FY26. So they're going to be all be received by the end of, just like the construction funds. They're all going to be received within one fiscal year, but they are dedicated to be carried through until expended for through the next biennium. So I guess if we
I think
could,
it's still large enough, I think it's still large enough change,
Mhm.
though. I think we need to see, I think we need to, rather than this level of detail, we need to take it back and update the actual budget.
Mhm.
The budget at that level of detail, and then bring that back for next month. I mean, I don't hear anybody having concern about it. It's just reflecting it transparently, so.
And if there is that public hearing aspect, we may have to just revisit it anyways, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Easter's position, and then we can reevaluate once we get all the information.
okay. And Mr. Warren, I guess we can meet to make sure we hammer out all the exact details and appropriations. We've been speaking about this for a while, but I guess this point of detail of how to present it did not come up. So we'll make sure we get that straight for the
It's
next
good
meeting.
anyway that you're giving us all the detail, that way if any questions come up before we get to that point anyway, so.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll get some numbers.
I guess we'll be scheduling a meeting and we will work that all out for next month.
Probably ought to get it as quick as possible in case we need to advertise for a public hearing. I
Yes.
think a budget public hearing is 2 weeks.
You have to have two advertisements.
Yes.
So probably
Right.
jump on that pretty quick.
Well, I think the budget document, as you know, it was shared with the county in time to make it into the board book. Mr. Worrell's had it for a while, so I'm sure we have all the information we need. It's just a matter of hanging out how to get the pieces spell that document. We won't have a trouble meeting that timeline.
Okay.
Okay?
Can I ask one thing for next month?
Yes, sir.
Can we get an update on the CTE building? And the future of, I've heard rumors on the street about the future of the Nottaway Technical Center. Can y'all give us a little report on next month on what's going on with that and just kind of see where we're at?
Yeah, we can report that we have, we issued it at the recent school board meeting, we issued the RFP and we are moving forward with the RFP for the architectural engineering services to design the building and take those next steps in that project. So we are in the early stages of that design phase for it.
Okay.
So, but we can give you some more detailed updates. Are there specifics you'd be asked about in terms of, I guess by the next meeting, we'll have more information along those lines.
That'd be fine. Myself and the county administrator met with Dr. Harper the other day, and she was a little concerned that Nottaway may be pulling out before. Just get it to us clear. That's all we ask.
Yeah, we'll be able to give you an update about where we stand on that project.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think that's a great request. It's not for schools. Can we get an update next month on all of the, CIP projects? We haven't had any CIP project updates in many months now.
Yeah.
We can do that. Can staff prepare that for us?
And Mr. Easter, it's great that you asked that. Josh and I actually just went through and met with all the department heads within the last, 2-3 weeks to get updates on all their projects. So we just completed that, so we can do that, prepare that next month.
Awesome timing.
Yep.
Great. We've talked a couple times about trying to get a really, every 2 months, every 3 months. I don't really have I don't care exactly what the frequency is, just it would be really nice to have a proactive approach to where in advance what it is, so you're not caught off guard and that kind of thing. You just say it's always going to be on this frequency. So it'd be really good if you'll take that back, is once you bring us that in December, and I guess just say, and after December, the next time will be so-and-so, and it'll just get going whatever frequency. I think that'd be good for everybody involved, so you don't get caught off guard. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Mhm.
Thank the school board. Thank you all for sharing that with us and getting that stuff for us. That brings us to the sheriff's office appropriations.
Yes, sir. This is a reimbursement to the sheriff's department that they're asking to be appropriated to their overtime budget. It is in the amount of $5,081.24.
Let's handle that one first, gentlemen. What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the $5,081.24 appropriation for the sheriff's department.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Motion on the floor to approve the $5,081.24 from security at the field days. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. All right. We'll do the next one.
Okay. The next is it's a VDIM grant that was awarded to the Sheriff's Department. It's for staffing recognition. And it's my understanding this is a one-time bonus to communications officers. And this is $2,500 per person. The total award was $26,250. So we were asking that to be appropriated. To my knowledge, this hasn't been presented up to y'all before. So we just want to make sure that we're getting that appropriated correctly, and that way we can disperse that to the individuals that it would be applicable to.
And that is 100% funded by VD.
That's correct. No local match.
What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve this acceptance of this grant from VDM for $26,250.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. Motion on the floor to approve the grant with the figure stated. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Okay. We're presenting another grant for the Sheriff's Department. This is from the U.S. government. It's a federal grant. It is my understanding this is for body-worn cameras or related to that. It is in the amount of $8,316, and we're asking for that to be appropriated as well. No local match required.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion, we approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Motion on the floor to approve this third grant that the sheriff's office got for $8,316 for body cameras. No local match. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Okay. The next one in your packet is the additional comp board funding, which represents a 2% increase for all state employees. So comp board funded employees will receive that. And they also gave different additional allocations to specific departments. So I've given you a very detailed listing, and I've thrown a lot of information at y'all. So if you have any questions, just let me know, but I'll just go through it real quick from a broad standpoint. The total change in the appropriate funding from the comp board. Oops, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Give me one sec here. My apologies. Let's see. The total comes to an additional $160,013 from the Commonwealth for constitutional offices funded by the comp board. And if you'd like, I can go down office by office and give you the different breakdowns, but the total allocation that we would be looking at is an additional $160,013 of state funded revenue.
The state funded, so.
Now, with that being said, with the additional 2% increases, there is additional fringe costs as well. So at the very end of my report is the needed appropriation. And so those fringe differences cover several different accounts. So rather than giving you a 2-page long summary of all these accounts, I just labeled those various, but the total fringe cost for each department can be seen on that page labeled appropriation.
So of course, I have no concern accepting the additional funds from the state. Glad they're doing that, both the 2% across the board, as well as particularly things like the targeted increases in the sheriff's office, Commonwealth's attorney, and the biggest, I think the biggest one was in the treasurer's office. Huge increase.
Yes.
Resolving the previously unfunded positions there. The concern I have is the same one that we've talked in all 4 years that I've been on here for budget, is that, you know, as you very clearly said, it's not all state employees, it's comp board funded. employees.
Mhm.
And as your detailed spreadsheets show, that means that take where the department where we always have the biggest problem is the sheriff's office. So only approximately half of their 37 employees are comp board funded. So they get a 2% additional increase.
Well, the sheriff has done something a little bit different. So the sheriff in his last budget, we appropriated a band adjustment for all of their folks. So a lot of their people did get a pretty not substantial is not the right word, but a good bump in the last budget. Now the sheriff his budget basically reflected a 7% at the time of adoption. We only did the 5% because that's what the comp board had listed at the time. So what he has recommended, if you look at his spreadsheet, the people that got that larger bump will not have their total salary adjusted. It's offsetting our local match at that point. So for some of his employees, like the comp board funded employees, you'll see that the local match that was originally adopted is going down at his recommendation.
Can you pick a row from that spreadsheet and walk it through with them?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, just because the numbers are there, but none of that's explained, which is fine.
Mhm.
But just walk through. You don't have to use a name.
Sure.
Just pick a row number on that one.
I'll pick the row number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
If we go across, there should be a section for each category. So
Yeah.
salary and fringe.
Yes.
And then we break it down by state and federal.
Mhm.
So you can see the difference between the current funded state
I do.
funding and the difference being the revised state funding on the column to the right.
Yes.
If you can look at the local piece for row 2, you'll see that it goes from 9,228 that is already appropriated, it's already adopted, to 4,126.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
people that received that additional compensation that the sheriff requested that y'all guys appropriated, they won't be getting an extra 2% because they already have it. It's just offsetting local contribution at that point.
Okay. And then someone down in the bottom half, rows 19 and below,
Mhm.
which is not, they get no state funding.
Mhm.
They're not getting any. So they don't get any, there's no change to them at all at this point, right? If I follow it all the way across.
That's correct. And those individuals that are not comp board funded, that are 100% local funded, received a similar increase to the other folks. It's just we fund 100% of that salary
Right.
versus the split.
Okay. And so if I go back to that row 2, you're saying the effective difference is the person doesn't actually, row 2, the person doesn't actually end up with any salary change at all.
Correct. Mhm.
Because we've already accounted for the 2% before.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And sheriff's office is always the one where that's the worst, just
It's a
because they
tough
have just because of the highest volume of people. So is there any other departments? I mean, like COR, everybody's comp board funded for some level.
Mhm.
At some level. So they all get an equal treatment. This is all I care about is equal treatment.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they all get the equal treatment.
Mhm.
Commonwealth's attorney, such a small department, they effectively get the same equal treatment. Then they get the extra that the state decided
Yeah.
to do for an adjustment.
Yes, sir.
No real discrepancy then with circuit court clerk.
Mhm.
All right, so treasurer then. There's not a similar reduction in the local funding there, right?
Well, so 2 of the employees in the chair's office were previously not funded by the comp board. Comp board has elected to fund those positions at the minimum salary per their classification.
Right.
So that will effectively bring down the local funding piece because they were normally 100%. Now
So
there'll
it's a
be
huge savings to us in that case, right? I mean,
yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But all of them will will get the same 2%.
That's correct. Yes, we are treating the two that were not previously funded as funded at that point, so they will be getting a slight bump too as well. With the state piece.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
apologize for so many questions.
Oh, no,
but-
no, absolutely.
All right. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm done.
Okay. You want to finish it over for motion?
If no one else has any other questions, then yes. I'll make a motion to approve the additional state appropriations and associated adjustments as reflected in the final page of the worksheet as presented.
Yes, sir.
I'll just say that includes the fringe adjustments too, to be specific, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen, motion on the floor to approve the prompt board additional funding. Any more questions? All in favor, raise your hand. The motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. You gonna do the next one too? Is that you?
I can take that one. Yes, sir.
All right.
This is a appropriation request for compensating the Board of Equalization for their efforts in work during the 2022 reassessment. We are asking for this appropriation request because the payment, I guess because of the timeline of how things worked out, the payment was not actually distributed in the budget that it was originally appropriated in. So that's why we're asking for that to be appropriated in this current budget.
And that's basically to pay the members of the equalization. Board.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the $6,250 for the members of the Board of Equalization.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. Motion on the floor to approve the appropriation to more or less pay the Board of Equalization for what they did for us. $6,250. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Have you got River Street online yet?
Mr. Coltrane is on. I emailed him. There he is. Hello.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Fine, thanks. We're ready for you, Mr. Coltrane.
All righty. Can you guys see my slideshow?
Yes, sir.
We see your desktop,
Oh. Well, let me see if I
not
can
the slideshow.
try that again.
There we go.
Now we got it.
Nice. Perfect. All righty. Since our last update that we had last October, this last month, River Street plans to accomplish the build is underway and will utilize 4 unmanned communication shelters that we talked about last month, or cabinets. We have verbal agreements at 3 locations owned by Amelia County, along with 1 additional location owned by a private landowner to place their communication facilities. The first county-owned property, the Amelia CO, will be a 12 by 20 shelter, and RSN has finalized lease documents and survey exhibits. A public hearing will be required before this document can be executed. The second county-owned property at Manborough will be an electronics cabinet, and River Street has provided lease documents and survey exhibits for the county to review. The third county-owned property at Soapstone is a co-location site with the county's emergency radio shelter, and River Street is preparing proposed site plans and easements and floor plans for Amelia County's CTA consultants and Motorola to review. And then River Street has worked with the private landowner within the county to identify and secure an additional lease and easement for a Featherstone cabinet, and the landowner is currently reviewing those documents. River Street has completed the site survey for the Amelia CO, Amelia Manborough, and the Amelia Featherstone locations. Pending approval of Soapstone site plan, and the easement, River Street will conduct the survey for the final location at Soapstone. And then River Street's engineering consultants have completed their initial area coverage survey for the areas within the county that are funded through the program of VATI and RDOF, and have finalized detailed layouts for all the locations within those funded areas. And River Street's consultants have completed an initial subset of construction sheets for approval. And then once approved, River Street has a contractor ready to begin construction within the Amelia CO serving area. And we're anticipating a breaking ground in Amelia County sometime in the next 2 months, hopefully before the end of this year. River Street's consultants have submitted VDOT land use permits for the initial subset of the construction sheets, and River Street's consultants have obtained pricing for IP transit service. This is the communications conduit that will connect between us and the world to get all the customers to and from the internet. And this is at geo-redundant points of presence, and River Street's routing and backhaul is really what we call that, is the routing and backhaul.
Greg.
Yes.
That fourth bullet where you talked about the subset of construction sheets for approval. So who does those go to for approval?
You're talking about the one that's here on the screen now, the fourth bullet?
No.
Go back.
Go to the next one.
The one you were just on. Fourth bullet. You said they've been
Yes, so
prepared for approval and once approved. So who are we waiting for the approval on?
right, so the approval on the initial subset of construction has been submitted from our consultants to our in-house engineering.
Okay.
And they're reviewing that now, so.
Okay. Thank you.
No hold up on your end. So things are moving along, and if you guys have any additional questions, I'd be glad to take those now. If not, we'd be happy to come back again in December and provide additional details of movement.
Would you anticipate that your in-house engineers would have approved those within the next month?
Yes, I would. If we're going to have the construction start before the end of December, or by the end of December, they'll be approving those, I would say, in short order this month.
That's what I was hoping. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
The good news is we've got. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What part of the county are you starting construction at?
I believe the first part is the Amelia CO area, the Amelia County, well, what we're calling the CO area. Let me come right here to this map and it'll help you out. So it will be the center part of the county. So you can kind of see this green segment here, right in the center. That is the main construction that we will begin with.
When is Manborough when does that phase come in?
So I don't have the exact rollout for anything other than Amelia CO, and that construction will begin by the end of this year. The other locations are being illustrated and outlined in a master plan that our engineer, our in-house, we've hired a new chief operating officer and VP of operations. And he's in the process right now of really formulating a much stronger timeline that will show the construction by site, by county, by site, by routes. And it's a lot more inclusive than what we've been able to provide you up until this point. So we hope to have that to you probably in the first quarter of next year, where we can give you a much more defined timeline for the other areas.
I did think we were kind of working on the Manborough section first.
That's what they said the last time.
Yeah, so the thing that I do know about the Manborough remote site is that we're trying to complete a route connection for that backhaul transport that I was talking about earlier. It most likely will feed towards Dinwiddie, and Dinwiddie will feed towards Manborough. There is a site in Dinwiddie County just across the line where we have interconnection with potential connectivity NBC. And so my understanding from engineering is that for Manborough, they will be bringing that construction up from Dinwiddie to connect into Manborough because of the access to get to the outside world from NBC. It's somewhere down in this direction. Are you saying that your understanding was that Manborough was going to be built first?
That's what the man said last time we had an update.
Okay.
That's really where we need the service.
Yeah, I don't think that's what was said. I think,
No, it was said, because the
Yeah,
line
but
is right there at the Demington Creek.
I think what Greg just said is what was said, and it's not understood the same way, but.
Let me go back real quickly and I can pull up the last month's report. I can figure out how to stop sharing here. Go. I had it open right before this meeting. I accidentally closed it a while ago when I was trying to share my screen.
Greg, along that line, I think it would be nice, if after the monthly presentations, you could send us the slides, because we don't have a way to refer back to them. Like, we don't have them in our board book, and then we don't get them even emailed, so we can't share them with citizens, or can we post them like on our website? We can't go back and look back to what you said without having to watch the whole video again. So if you could send them each month, that would be helpful.
Sure thing. Let's see, here we go. Share. So this is the report that I gave last month that came straight from engineering. And we referred to the Amelia CO would be the beginning of construction.
Yeah.
And anticipated groundbreaking in the next 2 months before the end of the year.
Where's the map with the layout? It was in colors.
Sure.
No, not that one.
These were the other maps that I presented at that time that just kind of showed the, potential design. But my understanding the entire time from engineering is that we would start in the Amelia CO area, and then we would potentially build up from the NBC connection point just over into Dinwiddie County to do the Manborough site.
Any more questions?
I'll do things again. Wonderful, me excited. Go ahead. I'm done.
Any questions, Joe? Okay, thank you, Greg. If you get those emailed to us.
Certainly, sure will. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Y'all have a good evening.
You too.
All right, any more discussion on that? All right, it brings us to special exception permit. Mr. Deal, you want to bring us up to speed on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I got a presentation that I'll show you guys. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. The special exception request that's before you is for a wireless support structure that will be in excess of 80 feet. This is going to be located potentially at property off of Grub Hill Church Road, Route 609. It's specifically at 15301 Grub Hill Church Road. It's 12-2F on the tax maps. It's zoned RP5, and according to the comp plan, it's located in the rural preservation area. The site's about 98 acres, or 99 acres. And it's adjacent to the parcel that the solar project is on, Amelia Solar One. Planning Commission met and first heard the case in September. They voted unanimously to defer it. And the applicant provided some further engineering reports regarding the electromagnetic exposure with the focus on radiation. Also provided a little bit more justification behind the reasoning that they picked the location they picked. They then met in October. 8 members were present at the meeting, and the Planning Commission voted 7-1 to recommend approval with the condition that annual testing be conducted and provided to county staff. This testing would be for the radiation emissions, but specifically to ensure that they are in line with FCC regulations that govern that matter. The condition was actually volunteered by the applicant at the September meeting. Here's the parcel, the subject parcel, the 98.99 acres roughly. And then immediately to the north is the solar project that you all are very familiar with. So it's right at Grub Hill Church Road near the T intersection with Genito Road. There's no flood zone impacts. There is some streams. You'll see on the right side, there's a stream and a little pond. And then here's a little bit more clear of a portrait of where the tower will be located and what its proximity is to some of the other things on the property. So the red line coming through is a power line. So it'll be located between the power line and the road. Right now, it's currently situated 197 feet off the road. Our ordinance would require it to be 180 feet from the property line. So it's a little bit larger than, or a little bit more than the ordinance would require. And then, of course, on the other side of the property line, you have some wooded property and then some streams and a pond. With that being said, the applicant, Milestone Towers, has a representative here, Mr. Matthew Penning, and then also on behalf of Milestone Towers is Mr. Jonathan Yates from the Hellman Yates Law Firm. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer. Or if you have any questions above my head, I'd be glad to turn it over to them.
We have any questions, gentlemen? Let these folks speak, then we'll do the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. First and foremost, we do a lot of work around the state, and we encountered something here in Amelia County that we don't encounter everywhere else. Brady Deal. He was incredible to work with, and I want to be quite frank. I think I asked 101 stupid questions. He never laughed at me. Well, at least till he hung up the phone, then he might have laughed. But no, his professionalism, his quick response, it was incredible. What we're talking about tonight, as cellular towers go, a relatively small one. This is a 150 footer. It's for T-Mobile. It's not initially for T-Mobile. They want to cure the problem in that area. It's also designed for 3 additional broadband carriers when they want to solve the problem in that area. Brady's, he took away half my speech. I tell you, what am I going to like it? Property of Jean Anderson Terrell. Her brother Franklin's here with us tonight. Miss Jean grew up on the property, born in the old home, born on the home place there. Presently, the home place is vacant, and her brother Franklin raises cattle there. And yes, we are adjacent to the solar farm. The thinking on this placement, and we also have another member of the Anderson family, Mr. Hugh Henderson's here, who lives across the street, and we know you're going to hear from him in a minute. But just talking about our placement, first of all, we had to go where T-Mobile needed to go to make it work for the network. We like Miss Jean's property. It worked for T-Mobile. We like the tree cover that was along Grub Hill Church Road that would help shield it. We wanted to place in between the tree cover and the power line that was on there. And the property is laid out absolutely beautiful. If we're allowed to do this, and your decision, some logistics going forward, takes Matt's team about 60 to 90 days to put it up. Not a long construction period, so we're not going to be increasing traffic on Grub Hill Church Road. Most of that's putting the foundation in. The tower itself just gets stacked in a day. After that, T-Mobile on average, maybe they'll come out 8 or 10 times a year. Most of this stuff is remotely operated, so they might have a tech come out very briefly to tinker with equipment, the same for the other carriers. It will not produce any noise, no odors, no lights, no vibration, no fumes, no glare. We had our airspace analysis done, and I think we're about 17.27 miles from the crew airport. So good news here, no air nav lights on it. If this tower was up right now, you couldn't see it because it'd be dark outside. Also with the design, towers come in 3 predominant flavors. They have what I'm used to growing up, because you can see I'm not young, the old Guidestine tower, where you have the middle pole and you have the guy wires on 3 sides. We then have the self-supporting lattice, which is a 3-sided steel. We're going here with the monopole. And what is the monopole? We went with it because visually it's the most innocuous. A monopole is just a pylon like you'd have in front of a Walmart or Hardee's, but this with the steel is much thicker and designed to carry the equipment. What we tried to do here, and the tough thing about doing cell towers, we can never make everyone happy. That's the tough thing. And Mr. Hughes is a nice man, and I'm upset that I upset him. But what we're trying to do is bring voice, advanced broadband, and most importantly, effective access to first responders, 911, whether they be fire, police, or EMS. We are providing what is now called the fourth utility. It's wireless infrastructure. And for a lot of folks, it's just as important as the other forms of utility, whether they be power, water, sewer, or telco. The country went through a pretty tough time a couple of years ago with the pandemic, and a lot of folks were having to work from home, having to educate their children from home, and that's why it became very essential, and T-Mobile took it upon themselves to cover a lot of areas where they simply were not covering. And that's the goal here. We want to bring this infrastructure out to the folks in that area. The tough part, there's always someone next door, so we tried to do our best job. What I'm going to get Matt to do right now, and I'm going to turn over to Matt for a second. Matt, we had some photo simulations done to show you if we got to do, again, 150-foot monopole. I'm not coming in tonight for a 300-foot guide tower with air nav lights, but photo simulations prepared, and Matt's going to walk through them real quick. I'm going to pass them out, but Matt will walk through them to give you a feel, if we are approved, what it will look like.
Thank you, Jonathan. And again, Matt Penning with Milestone Towers. We're the applicant on the project. Just a brief introduction as he's handing them out. We operate, we're headquartered in Reston, Virginia, but we also operate across the Commonwealth. Right now we have applications in Prince Edwards, Campbell County, Patrick County, Mecklenburg County, to name a few in Southern Virginia. As well as Loudoun County, Stafford, Prince William. So we operate across all markets in Virginia. What you have in front of you is a copy of some renderings. And the way these were taken, our engineer went out to site, aimed the camera in the location of where the proposed cell tower would go. And then we sent it to our graphic specialist, Michael Gould, who uploads the imagery and into a software that renders it using a 3D program that takes available terrain and topography data. So what we provided is, see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 9 renderings or vantage points in the surrounding vicinity, taken from all directions, north, east, south, and west, just to give an idea of the visibility of the tower. And as Jonathan pointed out, what we try and do, working with municipalities and in areas that are developed, is not asking for more height than what's needed. And in this case, of the applications that I mentioned before you, this is the smallest tower that we're proposing at 150 feet. All the other ones that we mentioned in Southern Virginia right now, we're coming in with 195 feet. We went to T-Mobile and asked here, is this the highest you need to achieve your coverage objective? And they said, this is what we need, 150. So this gives you an idea, generally working from the northeast first and then going clockwise direction. But of interest, I know there's along, I think it's vantage number, let's see, 3 is from the east northeast, about 4,000 feet. And then numbers 5 is taken from the driveway across from the tower site on Grub Hill Church Road. And you can see the tower would be on the right-hand side. And the tree buffer along Grub Hill Church Road is something, it's about, ranges generally between 30 and 45 feet in height. Matured trees lining the road that lend that perimeter buffer screening, which we're trying to look to site the tower next to try to soften, minimize the visual impact there.
Thank you. And again, the key, the tower has to be visible. It's a line of sight technology. The towers have to talk to each other. So what we try to do is, and if you look at the photo sims, we try to do our best job possible. And if I move a tower, I can move it away from someone and get it closer to someone else. So the goal is, T-Mobile tells us about where they need it. Very precise. They were very happy with this location for their network. And then we tried to take advantage of the tree cover along the road and put it in between there and the power pole. We have attending by Zoom, Mr. Andy Peterson. He's an engineer, specializes in radio frequency safety. Andy has reviewed this site. It was originally reviewed by Virginia P. David Hamilton Kaiser. Andy has done a further review. And Andy, can you hear me, sir?
And folks, can you hear me?
You can. If you can just, for the board, just a little review of health and safety. I'm sure they know all about the federal statute that says we can't talk about it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. If you can tell them, if you can give them the lowdown.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. But there were some concerns expressed at the December 25th public meeting where the application was deferred regarding electromagnetic emissions surrounding the proposed facility, specifically at a location 976 feet away. So what I've done is, as you mentioned, reviewed the original electromagnetic emissions report that was done by Waterford. That was dated August 16th of 2023. That looked at the contributions of T-Mobile and modeled the contributions of T-Mobile as is.
Andy?
Yes, sir.
Speak up, sir.
Speak up a little.
Yeah, sure. Is that any better?
You were good and we lost you a little bit. You can speak up.
Is that any better now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I switched the microphone. Let me know. Please let me know if my voice falls.
We will.
So, not quite sure what you heard clearly, but I do understand there were some concerns at the prior meeting where this facility was deferred regarding emissions, specifically at a location about 976 feet due northwest. So I've reviewed the Waterford report that was mentioned earlier. That report concentrated on the contribution of T-Mobile, who is the proposed first co-locator on the facility. And in reviewing that report, found the facility, that report determined the facility would be compliant with the general population limits. I've then also analyzed the facility on my own, not only considering the contributions of T-Mobile, which is currently all that's proposed to be installed, but also contemplating the future addition of co-locators at increments of 10 feet below the proposed T-Mobile antennas. My findings with respect to that hypothetical configuration of 4 installers will be that the cumulative radio frequency exposure levels, even in that scenario, would still be compliant by a wide margin, with an upper limit of less than 14.1% of the applicable FCC standards. And that at a distance of 1,000 feet from the facility, in that scenario of 4 co-locators, the exposure levels would be less than 5% of the applicable FCC standard. The FCC has very specific guidelines with respect to the allowable exposure in all locations of public access. Those guidelines are detailed in the FCC's Office of Engineering Technology, Bulletin 65. That document gives the folks like myself the prescribed formulas to evaluate facilities that have not yet been constructed. So we can't go out and measure the output and the exposure levels surrounding a site. So what we do is we use the FCC prescribed formulas in OET 65 to evaluate the expected exposure levels. And in this case, that's exactly what's been done, not just by Waterford, but also by myself personally in the report that was furnished to the board. And the facility will be compliant at all locations of public access, including at the base of the pole itself out to any distance. And that includes upper limit assumptions and also includes the possibility of up to 3 more co-locators.
Andy, to make it, you made it easy for me. If you can make it easier for the board, when you talk about these kind of levels, can you compare it to other items that they might have in their house or use on a daily basis?
Sure. The report does contain a table that shows some common radio frequency exposures from items that one might have in your house, like a baby monitor, a Bluetooth headset, walkie-talkies, laptops, cordless phones, Wi-Fi routers. These are all sources of electromagnetic exposure. And the exposure from a facility like this would be similar to the exposure that you'd have from everyday household items, because the antennas are at such an elevated position that the vast majority of the energy is focused on the horizon. So if you're very close to the facility, the vast majority of that energy is passing overhead. And then at any distance away, there's such a dissipation in the power density that the exposure will be compliant very wide margin.
Does any of the board have any questions for Andy? Yes, sir.
Okay, this tower, is it the type of tower that will implode on itself if something was to happen to it?
Yes.
It won't fall over.
What it's designed to do, well, I don't want to break this. Think of a straw. A monopole is like a straw. Top part's designed so it bends over. We have to replace it to put it back, but think of a straw. As you know, I'm not young. First big deployment I saw these with a good natural event was the Hurricane Katrina down in Louisiana, Mississippi. And again, because of the over design of these towers, the monopole design, the only time we had a problem with the tower is when like a missile, like a piece of bridge or a boat flying through the air, hit it straight on. But we're over designed for the wind. It's designed to exceed the one, I think 112 mile per hour. We designed to the ANSI TIA 222H standard, but it's designed just to sort of crimple at the top, give with the wind. We then have to put it back, but no, they do not fall like Christmas trees. And that's why you also have the setbacks in the ordinance. Where it's situated now, as Brady talked about, we're required to be 180 feet from the street. We're actually 195 feet. So we put in even a extra safety.
Okay, we discussed this earlier.
Yes, sir.
About moving it.
Yes, sir.
From the road back towards the power line, which is 170 feet away from it as proposed. Just how close can you get to that power line without either one messing, conflicting with the other?
We like a certain gap there, particularly for worker safety too, when you're working around power. Matt has taken a look at it. Matt, how far back do you think you can get it from from the original location, taking it just straight back? What did you end up with?
It's 300 feet from do you want to pass around the other?
Yeah.
The other concept? Not hitting me. So this pushing it further into the interior of the property. So we'd move it essentially another, it'd be 300 feet from that western property line versus the 100, I think, and 197 originally. So an additional 100 feet further interior.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. One other thing. You proposed planting 15 holly trees around it.
Yes, sir. You want more?
Let's make 20.
Yeah.
Because I seen them playing around the solo up there and they left too big a gap.
Okay.
And they will, if you crowd them, instead of going this way, they'll go this way and hide even more stuff. That's just the way nature works.
No, we have no problem with adding additional landscaping, whatever the board
You see,
desires.
I'm not a city boy, so I've been around some of this stuff.
What is the projected coverage, cell coverage, once you put this tile up, like down Grove Hill Church and all that?
This is prepared by T-Mobile. We can come up close and show it to you. What you don't want to have is white. You see a lot of white in that area. What they're trying to do is get as much as possible of the dark green. That's your best. That's your in-building coverage. Lighter green, you can pretty much be in building within vehicle. So what the goal here, trying to get rid of that white, which this pretty well does. Not everyone will have the robust in building. Heavy concentration in that area, all those houses will have it. But as you can see, this is basically nothing, and this is what we're going to build. And as you can see, it's what they sometimes call a donut hole or a hole left in the network. There's the hole right here. It's an absolute hole. This is all.
Where's the next closest tower?
It's more than 2 miles away.
Yeah.
So there's no towers, existing towers within 2 miles of the site. That was part of our zoning application, was to, as part of the rule outs, we need to look at existing towers. If they exist within a 2 mile radius, direct T-Mobile would co-locate or give us, justification as to why. So if you're assuming the ring of radius is about 2 miles, then you're probably looking at, looks like 5 to 7 miles from your closest tower.
It's an octagon tower, and it's supposed to 5.
Is that the one down across from truck stop? That's the closest one in Amelia unless there's one closer in Powhatan.
That might be it, yeah. It's on the-
I know, I'm on the field, that one down at the truck stop. I can throw a rock over there and hit it and I still don't have coverage.
Yeah, one clarification, these sites, these are on-air existing T-Mobile sites, so this isn't completely representative of all the carriers or all the sites in the area.
But this is what it'll do for T-Mobile. T-Mobile has the steps that we want to solve it. Now, again, it's designed structurally and on the ground for 3 additional broadband carriers if they also want to solve their problems.
And do they limit do they limit anyone who, the next first 3 that want to co-locate, doesn't matter if it's direct competitor of T-Mobile?
Right.
They're all there together. In the
Okay.
early days.
I assumed that it's,
Yeah. In the early days, back when I started in the mid-90s, they competed with each other. You couldn't go on my tower, I'm not gonna be your tower.
right.
People across the country like Mr. Deal, the planning community, so it's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn how to share these things.
Right.
And they learned how to share them, so they compete with crazy pricing now, but not for people, sorry.
Now, what if emergency services wants to piggyback on that? How much you go bust the county to do that?
It's not tall enough.
Huh?
It's not tall enough. We need 200-foot towers.
It's not tall enough for nothing.
It may be a microwave something down the road.
You can climb up there and hold a clothes hanger up and try to get a little bit better signal.
So what if it changes? Say it does work out down the road. I'm just asking the question here. I mean,
Go with it.
are you willing to work with the county here, or what are we looking at?
Yeah, we can dedicate a space on the tower for public safety. That's part of.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
We can add that into condition of approval. So we'll reserve one spot essentially on the tower. So we typically design for 4, we'll design for 5. And so reserve that in perpetuity for public safety use.
And it's a terrible area. It's bad.
It is.
All the way even across the river to Powhatan.
It is.
It is. That seems like a fair.
I mean, we don't know what 10 years from now holds, so we need to make a plan.
Yeah.
A plan B for that. And so it will benefit the county at that given time. It's just like solar. 10 years from now, it'll be obsolete. Because technology is changing so fast.
Yeah. In general, your question about will this be shared by other carriers? So our company, Milestone Towers, develops the tower and then we lease out the space and we don't, anybody that comes to us looking to co-locate their equipment on it. We also market it pretty heavily. So I've gone to Verizon and they've identified it as a need for them. They're just looking to get the branding as well. So generally what we see is once we get the tower up, it's a real sight to them, it's the competitors, and they see the difference in coverage and they want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what I think will happen here as well, is generally we see another carry on within first 3 to 4 years, once the towers.
Finish here, come on down, man, we're away. Come on down to LA.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
The radiation. It's been brought to my attention.
Right.
I understand that you're gonna supply the county with a how often?
Annual.
Annual
Yep.
report.
Every year.
And you send that to the neighbors if they so desire to have a copy of that? Because you know how things get lost in the transitions.
Absolutely.
So when you send it to the county, if it's any of the neighbors also want that copy, send it to them. So they got it in their hand. And
They just ask us or Mr. Deal, whoever he gives me a list each year of who's supposed to go to, he'll go to.
yeah, well, I'd like to see it automatically include them in on this so that, they don't have to come to the county and ask, hey, I got the same thing you got.
Yep, we can do that.
Keep peace.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, we're gonna open a public hearing here in a minute and
Might be a lot more.
might be a lot more. Y'all done a very good job of explaining it.
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Take a little time out and we may pull you back. Gentlemen, y'all got any questions? All right, at this time, I open the public hearing on the special accession permit for Milestone Towers. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address when you come up.
Good afternoon or evening, Hugh Anderson, 15720 Grove Hill Church Road, directly 970 feet from where the supposed tower is going to be. I'm not really sure, did they keep their expert on or not? They did. So I would like to ask if I could, the expert, if he did do some calculations, what they were.
He's asking you if that's okay.
Hi, I'm still here.
Yes, sir. My name is Hugh Anderson. I'm the 970 feet residence that I sleep in a upstairs bedroom, which is 30 feet above the ground level. Did you calculate that into, because you said ground level?
So, I don't have a specific calculation for 30 feet above ground level. I'm at 1,000 feet. However, a facility like this, where the antennas are at an elevation above 100 feet, that would pose no potential for exposure levels, even at eye level with the antennas at 1,000 feet away. The exposure levels would be significantly below what's allowable by the FCC's guidelines. So I have no hesitation at that distance. These types of facilities are installed on rooftops where there are buildings immediately adjacent. The only areas really that where the exposure could exceed the FCC guidelines, or if an individual found themselves in front of the antennas for a configuration like this, within about 20 feet or so of the face of the antennas. And that scenario is only realistic when we have rooftop installations. So what we do with those installations is that there are FCC signage and barrier guidelines that are adhered to by the providers. That way, let's say someone who works on rooftops, a roofer or an HVAC professional who finds himself on a rooftop by virtue of their employment.
But he doesn't sleep there.
Pardon?
He doesn't sleep there. And I hope I can get my time back, because I'd like to have 3 minutes, and he's taking probably half of that, so.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So just to finish up the on that note of sleeping there, the FCC guidelines consider 24/7, 365 exposure. So there's no time averaging in the
But that is a guideline because of exposure to radiation. Is that not correct?
Well, it's codified.
And the further away, the better. Is that not correct?
Well, as there's distance put between any transmitter and an individual or measuring device, exposure levels will decrease. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. So this property is 98 acres, 99 acres. There is a parcel that goes all the way back to the back corner of the solar field that is almost a quarter mile from my house. It's on a hill. I've hunted this property all my life. It was my grandfather's property. I know this property well. The only reason they don't want to go back there, they'll have to build a road, which costs money, right? I understand it costs money, but is my life or the exposure to my life or my grandchildren or my wife worth a road? I'd like for the board to think about that. That's all it would be. You could go a quarter mile from my house and all it takes to build a road. I'm really not sure that I'm here on defense, but I feel like I'm on defense. I didn't ask for this. At this point, I have no exposure whatsoever to radiation, but I don't know what I'm going to do if this comes in. I hope the board will consider that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Is that gentleman coming up? Okay. Anybody else?
My name is Franklin Anderson. I'm at 1481 Grub Church. I'm the adjoining landowner. And like Hugh said, my grandfather also owned that land, and I've hunted and been all over it. And I currently rent that land from my sister, whose land tower is proposed. And I have cows in there, and soon I'll be going in there every day to feed cows. I have no problem with it. I suffer every day with the reception. I've got 2 electronic devices at home that require monitoring my blood pressure and my breathing. And half the time it won't work due to the lack of coverage in my area. So anyway, I'm not opposed to the project, very much in favor of it. Thank you.
Ma'am, did you want to speak?
My name is Dale Anderson, 15720 Grub Hill Church Road. I know that it was mentioned earlier that there was an added addendum for testing that would be annual. Who is doing the testing? Is it Milestone that's going to be doing the testing, or are they committing a third party to doing the testing? And if so, is the third party signed on to do the testing, or is that something that's going to have to be worked out later on? Can anyone answer that question?
It would be a third-party independent group, and it would be done on an annual basis and made available to the county and anyone who so desires to see the annual report.
So who is the third party group that would do it?
There are several groups out there to do it. We'll select one, but we will also submit their curriculum vitae and their background on doing this around the country.
So currently you have not contracted with anyone to do the testing.
I don't have an approved tower yet, but we will, if we get approved tonight, we will make that contract, yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
I hope I get approved tonight.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna ask Mr. Anderson, you said that 970, was that to the proposed area now? Is that to the, okay, that's the original. Okay, thank you.
The proposed is 1075. You want to ask him?
I know it's the 970 because that was stated in the, it's the same number stated in the planning commission,
Anybody else want to speak?
which was before the adjustment.
So it's looking at 970 plus 3 if they go to the 70, but
That would be right.
it's gonna be 1270.
So if they find out that there is a problem with testing, who is responsible for correcting the problem? Who is liable for correcting that problem? Is it Milestone? Is it the company doing the testing? Is it the county? Who would have to take responsibility for making a correction if there is a problem with the testing?
We'll get you an answer, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much.
If they fail testing,
Milestone.
that's XDC. That's not
Milestone has to remediate, Milestone has to remediate it.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is all FBC's there.
Yeah, that's way
Yeah.
out of, that's big league.
All right, before you speak, sir, does anybody else have any, want to speak for or against this project?
Michael Whitaker, 12110 Genito Road, about 6 to 7 miles as the crow flies from the proposed tower site. This may be a needle in the haystack observation, but they had said there will be no aviation navigation lights on the thing, and I know the locals would probably not really want that. But I do know that in this past spring, helicopter formations at night, up to 8 to 10 aircraft were circling in my area, and I think in the vicinity, a general vicinity of the proposed site. These were Army National Guard. They were, in my best Air Force estimate, only 200 to 250 feet off the ground, and they were doing low light level navigation type thing. So that's a consideration. I'm not for or against it. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I'll close the public hearing on the Milestone Tower, and we will work on some answers to some questions.
Sure. So to answer the gentleman's question just posed now, so when we go to build the tower, the project will have a determination of no hazard from the FAA. And then also as part of that, we provide a notice to the FCC. We register the structure once it's built with the FCC. And that way, anybody who is navigating the airspace, whether it's low flying aircraft, whatever it might be, they are aware of it, and it's marked by, longitude, lat long, and also coordinates, or the coordinates and then height. So it's officially registered with the FCC. And then as far as the monitoring, the annual monitoring, one of the reasons our company's comfortable with agreeing to a condition like that is our company actually works significantly with school systems throughout Virginia. One of those is Fairfax County Schools, and they've had towers since the 90s on their sites. And they, as their partner, we hire a third party and test all of those sites annually, and they have over 30 sites on their school properties. So that's one example. And to date, none of our towers have been out of compliance or even approaching the upper level where it would get close to being out of compliance. But to the point, what would happen in that event that we were exceeding compliance? First off, we'd be in default of our lease, because our lease mandates that with the landowner, we operate the tower in accordance with all applicable local, state, federal regulations. So they would have a means to terminate our lease. And then we have individual leases with carriers, which has that same exact language. So they would have to remedy that issue as soon as it's found, or else they suffer the opportunity for their lease to be terminated, essentially. So, and face significant fines from the FCC, who regulates this. So there's contractual obligations, both from us to the landowner and to the carriers to us, as well as to the FCC, the federal government, to operate within their licenses.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You say you're painting it gray?
It's a galvanized finish that dulls up pretty quickly, and it's non-reflective, emits no glare. We've tried over the years. There've been all kinds of talk where, I remember years ago, there was one in jurisdiction in North Carolina. They said they wanted a Carolina blue. About a year later, we got a call, the sky in Carolina blue that often, can you make it gray? We found gray is it blends in the best.
Yeah, see, I was figuring what the Navy did a lot to try to camouflage its ships, is using the different color
Gray.
schemes.
Yeah.
So it's not as visible.
That's it. Yeah, people say, well, paint them brown, paint them green. They become more obvious to be perfect right with. So gray is the default in gray's work. It's a galvanized finish, dulls up pretty quickly, non-reflective, and emits no glare.
Well, I know the towers on the light lines from the substation right there added over towards Powhatan are about the ugliest brown you ever seen. They never made an effort to paint them. They put them up that way, and that's the way they've been.
Yeah, that's rust. They treat them
Yeah.
as it one time.
Yeah.
Done deal.
So, I mean, that's not a very pleasant sight.
So we are, so you're looking at a 300 foot from 609.
Yes, sir.
Is the new option.
The one we presently, the present thing was 195. We were going to take it about take that 195, take it 300, take it a little further away from Hugh's house. I think I would make it 1107 from his house. The proposed was 976, keeping in that same line because we wanted to keep below his house, take advantage of that tree cover and keep us inside the power line. So we would just move it slightly over to get it further away from Hugh.
Is there any chance of putting it closer to the solar field?
That would be a bit of an issue. That kind of move would restart the whole thing, and we want this to happen while we have the carrier interested in serving this area. So we hate to have a delay of that sort. Everything, all the federal, all the tribal, everything would have to be restarted. It would be a tough one. It's not just about a road. It's about potentially losing the site.
Okay. So we're 300 foot off
Probably.
609,
Yeah.
and we're gonna do yearly tests, which will be available to all citizens around it.
And anyone who, I'm picking on Brady, we use Brady as a repository. Anyone who makes a request to Mr. Deal will get a copy.
And if something is found in fault in the test, it's y'all's responsibility to fix it.
Correct.
And there will be a space on the tower for emergency services.
Yes, sir. Space will be reserved on the tower and on the ground.
Is that gonna be at no charge?
Yes.
No charge.
20 holly trees instead of 15.
20 holly trees.
Oh, yeah. I apologize. I forgot about the trees.
I've never seen a 150-foot holly tree. That's gonna be something to see.
How about leave the site?
It comes in on a pretty big truck. It comes in on a good sized truck.
Holly tree.
I hope I'm around to see it.
Yes, sir. We will take it up to 20 holly trees.
Any more discussion?
Tulips, roses and daffodils.
What's the board's pleasure?
Well, being they presented it, that they agreed with some changes, I make a motion that we approve this on the conditions that they will do what they said they was going to do.
Okay.
On the
Mr. Chairman,
changes.
would you like me to state those conditions
Yeah.
for the record?
Yes, because I was gonna wait till we got to discussion.
Okay.
You finished with your motion, Mr. Jones?
Yes, I am.
All right, now we're more discussion. If you want to state the conditions that will be in writing,
Yes, on the permit.
okay?
One additional spot for public safety.
At no charge.
At no charge. An additional approximate 103 feet of distance from the property line, the roadside property line, for a approximate distance of 300 feet rather than 195 or 197. An annual testing report from a third-party engineer to be provided to ensure compliance with FCC standards. That also will be made available to any resident that may request it. And 20 holly trees instead of 15. I do not think I missed anything. Is that correct?
No, but let me ask you this. Any grass involved? Or is this all gravel inside the fence?
Gravel.
Okay. Weed control, you'll handle all that. We're not gonna have a zoo in there or nothing like that.
No, if you visit particularly the school sites for Milestone around the state, they're the easiest to find. You'll see incredible, the maintenance program we have. We don't let it go wild. We maintain it.
You do put razor wire across that top of that woven wire fence.
This is
chain link fence, I mean.
This is just a chain link fence at this point. We got a watchdog in Mr. Franklin Anderson, so we think we're gonna be.
Well, you don't have kids though.
We got a caretaker out there looking at it, so.
Might be a tree stand hung on that thing before it's over with. Well, the reason I say I know of one in Powhatan, and they got like a little building under it. It's over there off of Cook Road, and they got razor wire all the way around that to keep kids honest.
We got Franklin for that.
Services too.
Yeah.
It's got critical.
Ray, do we want to put just for the weed control Because we know what we ran into on the solar facility. Had to
Sure.
get them to cut the grass. Just make sure we have that in writing.
So an additional condition that the site will be properly maintained, specifically weed control, grass.
Grass.
Anyone else have any conditions? Hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving the milestone cell tower 609 with you want to repeat those conditions one more time for me in the motion?
Or 5 conditions. An additional spot for public safety at no cost to the county. An additional approximate of 100 feet distance from the road for a total of 300-foot setback. And an annual testing report to be submitted to county staff to ensure compliance with FCC standards for emissions that would also be made available to residents upon request. The site will be properly maintained, specifically in regards to weed control and grass mowing, and there will be 20 holly trees planted surrounding the tower.
Thank you, Mr. Deal. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And if just we close, just want to thank Brady again. He took great care of us. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, could I get the applicants just on the record to say that these conditions that were rolled out are agreeable? Because I think you insinuated with your body language and everything, but these conditions are all,
We accept
agreeable.
we accept the conditions outlined by Mr.
Okay.
Brady Deal.
Thank you.
Is this your first hour, Amelia?
This is, yes, sir.
Thank you.
I want to come back.
Come on.
Come back.
Come on down to LA.
Oh, I want to work with this gentleman again.
I don't care about him. Just come on down to LA. Give me some cell service down there.
I want to come back. He's going to take me to look for deer.
You better see Brady.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen.
Don't let him shoot.
Gentlemen, I apologize. I missed the board
did.
activity and committee reports. If it's all right with the board, we'll do that when we have our comments. Is that fine? All right, Mr. Harvey.
Okay. Waste management. Tab 9. Waste management check for the month of October, $253,442.64. I would also like to throw out that there was an 80th birthday party of a longtime neighbor of the landfill within the past month. And the landfill went to extraordinary measures, including shutting down at noon on Friday and refusing Norfolk Southern's request to work on Saturday, just to do everything they could to ensure that there was a good environment for an outside party, and things went off without a hitch.
I believe they
We all
provided
appreciate that.
additional coverage to the trash and
But that speaks volumes on who we're dealing
Being
with,
a good neighbor.
They did
being a good neighbor.
did a great job. Item 10, the Commonwealth Regional Council, items of interest for the month. I guess if you glance through it, you'll see that they had their first meeting with the Planning Commission, had the kickoff meeting with the Planning Commission, so they're working on updated comprehensive plan. DMV Select Report, we have collected $233,810 for the Commonwealth this past month, $12,305 a day. And our compensation, including $8 for an easy pass, is $2,804. So that is the county administrator's report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harvey. Any questions, gentlemen? I got a little housekeeping before we get into the comments. Y'all should all have had to email the county administrator appraisal evaluation. If we could, just get those back by December 1st to Mary Beth, and that's gonna go to Mr. Gore to compile the comments. December meeting, we're 4 days before Christmas. Are we fine to keep that still the third Wednesday? Okay, we'll keep that the same. And we're gonna check on some committee appointments that are coming up, maybe the first of the year. I know it's 1 or 2. Staff will have those out here shortly, so you will have, if we have to fill any, you'll have time to meet all the deadlines. And the planning commission is working on a comp plan. It's been suggested by a couple of members that maybe we have a joint meeting once they get kind of something on the ground, and we all kind of talk about it, and we all kind of see what direction that we want the county to go in. I expect that would be sometime in January. Is that probably right, Mr. Deal?
Yes, sir.
How's everybody's schedules in January? Maybe throw it out a week before.
The planning commission would traditionally meet on the 23rd, which is the fourth Monday. Would you? No, I think it's the 23rd.
If it's Monday, it's 22nd.
Is it of January?
Mm-hmm. We didn't switch to Tuesday. Thought we did.
Calendar? Oh, I'm still in 2023. There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
So the 22nd, yes, correct. Would you all want to just meet with them during that time, or do you want to have an actual separate meeting date altogether for the planning commission and the board to meet, aside from the third Wednesday and the fourth Monday?
You got any anticipation of whether their agenda will be full, or will this be the only thing on their agenda?
I haven't received anything currently, so there's no public hearings coming up. We have no special exception requests or rezonings that are on the docket. But one, technically, if it's submitted before the end of December, could be on the planning commission docket that month.
Well, you're looking into January, you said, right?
Yeah, we'll play it by
Why
ear.
don't we play it by ear till December meeting?
We'll know something.
Have a little
close.
better grasp.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, what have you done for the last month?
Not a thing.
Amen.
Attended VACO meeting. That was enjoyable. Felt like a fish out of water. Had some citizens still complaining about the assessment. Some VDOT issues. Basically, that's it. CPMT meeting.
Okay. Mr. East?
Standard meetings. I do just want to call out a thank you to Mary Beth Smith for facilitating the job fair, which was in partnership with the Amelia Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate that. And also on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank Brady for his work, putting work into doing new signage for the Amelia courthouse or village area here. And we're excited about both partnerships with county administration. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
I was another one of the fish out of water at the VACO meeting. It was interesting. I did learn some stuff there about how other counties are doing some things, and got a couple of ideas, and I've already spoke to Taylor about, Brady about them, and Taylor. Had a homeless person a few weeks back down in Chula, been down there for months. Got in touch with Taylor, and he got up with steps, and now he's a resident in Roanoke at a shelter, so we helped that person out because he was from Haiti, and he told me when I stopped in and talked to him, they helped him, give him some money for food, that it gets awful cold around here. And I said, you ain't seen nothing yet. He's from Haiti, so you better find a place to go stay.
Help. He
Yeah.
wanted help.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I heard he
See,
didn't want help.
no, he was a nice person. I mean, you could talk to him and all. He spoke fairly decent English, and so I told him, I said, we're gonna get you some help.
Behind lefties.
Yeah, and lefties. Had a CRC meeting this morning, and nothing really to Amelia that new. Talked about the grants for the sidewalk and the emergency squads from Central. They got a pretty good grant for the emergency squad for some of the units or something. Basically, that's it.
Okay. Mr. White?
Don't have anything exciting with just the standard, meetings for the past month and a half. I did attend all of them. I really didn't have anything else to do, so I managed to make them all. The trips were a little painful to Keysville, but, this time of year, between now and the first of the year, we've got a whole lot of events coming up, community events. I think I've seen, if I hadn't confused, 2 or 3 Thanksgiving dinners people are doing. Just always encourage the community to get out, participate in all of these events. Having a big event in the courthouse square right after the Christmas parade, that kind of thing. It's always a good time. A lot of people, put in a lot of time and effort for these things. It's good to see people show up, as they always do, because it's Amelia. The only other thing I had, and this has nothing to do with the board, I felt like somebody should do it. So the Pimbledon family, over the past few years, they keep getting brought up in county business in a negative light. And I don't know why. They were used against David. It was wrong. And he knows, I showed support for that. And their name keeps getting brought up with other people or with the tax stuff. And for me personally, like, I know the family. We're not best friends, but I know them. I've worked on a lot of projects with them. They do a lot for the community, a lot of good things. And I just wanted to apologize to them that their name just keeps getting brought up in a negative way in the community. I think they're good people. I think they're like the rest of us, just trying to work, support the community, help out, and I don't think it's fair to see one particular family singled out when I can't see where they've really done anything to, warrant those actions. So I just want to apologize to them.
Thank you, Mr. White. Standard meetings, didn't do the jail board today. We don't have a meeting in November. I was at the VACO conference. I stood on 2 subcommittees, and I did cast a vote for Amelia County Tuesday afternoon. It was a great experience. We're not unique. The same problems we have here are generally across the state. All right. Ms. Powell, you want to speak? You're looking at me like you got something to say.
I have nothing to add. Just listening.
All right, well, I'll adjourn the meeting if that's all we got.
And you tell Jeff, you're right.